Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again. In this video, I'm gonna be doing a review of the live album Beast over Hammersmith by Iron Maiden. I've waited quite a while for this album to arrive. And I've waited even longer for a chance to find one. Yeah, it's actually quite hard to find a copy of this, considering the fact that I guess sales didn't do so well back when it was first released. Uh, I I guess I think it was just overshadowed by the Live After Death album. But yeah, this is Beast over Hammersmith. It is the live album that goes with the Number of the Beast album. Um, Now it kind of has an interesting history because, or at least release-wise, because even though this was recorded during the Number of the Beast tour back in 1982, this live album, like the actual live album, was not released until 2002. Yeah, like basically like 2.5 decades later. Um, there's kind of been a reason given to this, but basically, Steve Harris has said before that said in the past interview that he didn't think the quality of the recording was that good, so he didn't release it. But I guess later on they decided, and then I guess later on though they decided to release it as a part of the first 10 years collection. Um, but honestly, I don't think. Um, well, I'll get to what I think about that bit later on. But yeah, so this was released in 2002, even though it was recorded in 1982. But yeah, so first off, the band members: Clive Burr on drums. This would be the last Iron Maiden release to feature Clive Burr before he quit the band. Yeah, so Clive Burr on drums, Adrian Smith on guitar, Dave Murray on guitar, Steve Harris on bass, and of course Bruce Dickinson on vocals. This is actually Bruce Dickinson. This is the first live album to feature Bruce Dickinson. Um, but yeah, so band members. So also the artwork. The artwork's bizarre. I mean, the main artwork's very good, but I don't know why it's so small. I mean, I've seen posters of it, and the full size artwork's really good. I just don't understand why for the cover of the live album they sized it down a lot. Like look at that, there's like a white sort of border, like a line going through it, but they sized the artwork down quite a bit. Although you can see a little bit more of the artwork on the back, I could see it. They zoomed in on it. Um, but yeah, I honestly don't know why they made it super small for the front. And again, there's it on the back. And I really love the artwork too. It's basically Eddie in outer space, basically piercing the earth with the British flag. Um, but yeah, that's really cool. And then yeah. Anyway, so it's a 2-disc live album. I think was was made in Japan 2 discs. I honestly don't remember for some bizarre reason, even though I've listened to this a few times. No, Made in Japan was 1 disc. I honestly don't know if the full version of Maiden Plus One was 2 discs or not. Oh yeah, and by the way, Maiden Plus One was their very first live album. Um, uh, and then Made in Japan was their second live album, and this is their third live album. But yeah, this is a 2-disc live album. And the discs do sort of, they look like the British flag. There's that one that has basically the traditional colors, and then there's this one that's blue for some reason. But yeah, so the track listing. So the first song is a live version of Murders in the Rue Morgue. And Bruce's vocals are horrible. Like, they're very, very bad. Like, they don't fit this song whatsoever. I don't. I haven't really. Oh, okay, okay. I haven't really seen any footage of Bruce singing the song any other time than during this tour. But his vocals are horrible on this. Like, they sound strained too. Like, they sound very strained. I know that this particular recording is like they recorded certain songs on here in a couple different I guess cities and stuff. So maybe during that particular record, honestly, I don't think this is any in chronological order. So I guess this may have been later on in the tour. But even though it's the first track on this live album, but he sounds very strained. Plus, he doesn't sound like he doesn't. His voice is not really meant to fit the song in terms of him being able to pull off a Poliano style vocal performance. It just doesn't work. Again, he sounds strained, and it's just not that good. The second track is a live version of Wrathchild. I was actually just surprised how bad his vocals is on this as well. I was surprised. The reason I'm surprised is because he does. I've heard many different versions of him of the song of him singing it, and they all sound pretty good. But for some reason, this version he just doesn't sound good. Again, he sounds very strained, and I don't know. It just I don't know. It just ruined his voice on this particular track. Ruined this version of Wrathchild for me. He does not sound too good on this on this track. Track number 3, "Run to the Hills." Even though his vocals fit this particular song, because again it's his era song. It just again he sounds very strained, and I don't know. It just doesn't sound too good. "Children of the Damned." He sounds okay on this one. Again, I don't really like this song very much at all, but he doesn't sound too bad on this one. Track number 5, "Number of the Beast." Again, he sounds okay on this one. Not too bad. Musically, it's pretty good, but vocally, it's just meh. "Another Life." Again, he doesn't sound as bad as he does on "Murders in the Rue Morgue" and "Wrathchild," but "Another Life," nah. But the album really picks up with this 7th track. "Killers," a live version of "Killers," and the first time Bruce Dickinson sang it live. It's really good. I was absolutely surprised with this one. Like, the only other version I've heard of "Killers," well, the only other live version with Bruce Dickinson that I've heard is the Maiden England '88 version. And while that version sounds good sonically, like with the instruments and stuff, Bruce's voice just does not fit it. But he sounds amazing with this version. Like, I don't know how he did it, but and his voice fits it. Like, not as well as Paul's, obviously, but he just really knocks it out of the park with this version of "Killers." I absolutely love it. Definitely one of my favorite live versions of "Killers." It's just really good. 22 Acacia Avenue is track number 8. This one's really good, although I will say, for whatever reason, the audio, especially when Bruce is singing, it just isn't that good. It's not terrible, but I don't know why. It's just whatever equipment they're using, I just can't quite pick up his voice for some reason. But musically, it's really good. It's just for some reason Bruce's voice is very low in the mix. But overall, it's good. I just wish the audio was better. Track 9, "Total Eclipse." I actually think this version is far superior to the version on "Number of the Beast." Like, the studio version is okay. I mean, no, the studio version is really good. Although this version, the live version, is amazing. This is definitely a song that was meant to be played live. But yeah, it's so good, and it's the track that ends disc 1. Also, thing to mention is oh crap, I completely forgot what I was going to say about Total Eclipse. Oh yeah, so I think this is the only time they ever performed that song live. I have seen a lot of the track listings for live albums and live shows. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen any other time they played this one live, or at least any other track of the track listings. But yeah, overall, an amazing live version. Definitely far superior to the studio version. Um, hold on. Okay. Disc two. All right, disc two is definitely the where the album shines the most, even though near the end of disc one is it's amazing. But yeah, disc two is definitely the better one. Let's see. Transylvania. I love this version. Like, yeah, it's an instrumental, so again, even if Bruce didn't sing well, he couldn't mess it up because there is no vocals on this one. Um, I actually do like this version of Transylvania as much as the studio version. It's not really nothing's been changed other than the fact that Dennis Stratton is not playing. Instead, it's Adrian Smith, and Adrian Smith does a really good job at replicating Dennis Stratton's guitar style. Um, but you do kind of get that sense that something is missing, and that something is someone, and that someone is Dennis Stratton. I actually do prefer. I think I've said this before, but I do prefer Dennis Stratton over Adrian Smith in terms of whenever the Paul Di'Anno era stuff is played, especially with the first stuff from the first album. But yeah, Transylvania, a live version is really awesome. Track number two. Again, I'm going off of the second disc now. Track number two is The Prisoner. This one's pretty good, although I do prefer the studio version a bit better. I mean, a bit more. But this one's still pretty good. Bruce's voice is pretty good on this one as well. Track number three. Definitely one of my all-time favorite tracks from this album. And one of my all-time favorite live performances. Track number three, Hallowed Be Thy Name. Probably the most popular version of this song. Yeah, the studio version is very popular, but out of like overall and even live performance wise, this version is definitely the most popular. This is the one that a lot of, especially like with people who react to Iron Maiden songs on YouTube. They 98% of the time they will react to the video of the Beast Over Hammersmith version. And then like the small other percentage of the time they react to the studio version. But this is an amazing live version. I actually do prefer this over the studio version just a bit. Definitely has a lot more energy to it than the studio version. Even though the studio version has a lot of energy, this has a little bit more. They even have the bell chime in there, which sounds a little bit more full than the studio version. But yeah, Hallowed Be Thy Name, an amazing live version, definitely my favorite live version. Track number four, which is probably my favorite track on the album, Phantom of the Opera. Definitely the best vocal performance in terms of Bruce Dickinson singing a Paul Di'Anno era Maiden song. This is probably my favorite version of Phantom of the Opera. Like, yeah, I even like it better than the studio version with Paul singing it, and even better than the live versions. But even though I still love all those other versions, this is definitely my favorite. Like, I think the main reason, like, Bruce Dickinson does an amazing job. I mean, he does an amazing job. Like, he really brings us all into this song. Also, this is probably the fastest version, like, the fastest they've ever played the song live. Like, it's like warp speed fast. Like, it's super fast. I've heard that, like, there was, like, one time in the early 2000s where they played this live, and it was very, very slowed down compared to how they played it here. But yeah, it's my preferred version of Phantom of the Opera. But although it would have been awesome if Paul was sang on this version, because that would have been absolutely 100% perfect. But yeah, I absolutely love this version. Definitely my favorite track on the album. Track number 5, a live version of Iron Maiden. This is another really good one. I think like instrument wise, I do actually prefer it over the studio version, but vocal wise, I do prefer the studio version. Again with Paul. Although Bruce does a really good job on this one. I think he did a lot better job on this one than he did later on. But yeah, I absolutely love this version of Iron Maiden. Track number 6, Sanctuary. Probably, yeah, it's my favorite version of Sanctuary. Like, even better than the studio version, even though I love the studio version, and I love that first demo version. But this is definitely my favorite version. I just think I don't know, for some reason, Bruce just nails it. Even better than Paul, in my opinion. Yeah, Sanctuary, awesome. Track number 7, Drifter. This one's an okay version. I do prefer the studio version, and because not only because it sounds a little bit better, but it's Paul Di'Anno sings it a lot better. But it's good for this version is good for what it is. Track number 8, Running Free. This one's a really good version, although I do prefer the studio version. Sounds a little bit better, and because Paul sings it. But yeah, track number 8, Running Free. This is, I'd say, one of my favorite live versions. And the live album closes with a live version of Prowler. I love this version. I may actually like it better than the studio version, and I actually may like it better with Bruce singing it, especially like in his prime that he is at this point. Like again, like from Number of the Beast to Peace of Mind is Bruce in his prime. He just like he's a force that can't be stopped, and his voice it was just amazing back in like the early to mid '80s. And he just sounds amazing on this song. And musically, I actually like it also musically better than the studio version. Even though I love the studio version, but in the studio version, like, okay, here's the thing. This live version of Prowler, you could actually hear each individual instrument, especially with the guitars too. Like, on the studio version, the sound of the guitars kind of blend together, so they just sound like one cohesive sound. Where on this version you could actually hear Adrian Smith playing his guitar and what he's playing, and then Dave Murray playing his guitar, and they sound each individual, so you could actually hear the two different guitars. Whereas the studio version, they just sound like one big blur of sound. And I really love you're able to hear each individual instrument. It's just so good. I absolutely love it. And that's what closes the album. So, so overall, while the first, 6 tracks don't sound too good, everything else sounds amazing. Like, tracks, tracks, from the first disc, tracks, 7 to 9 are amazing, and then the entirety of the second disc. I don't know why Bruce didn't sound too good on the first 6 tracks. Hold on. Some water. I don't know why he didn't sound too good on the first 6 tracks. Maybe he just needed to warm up his voice a bit. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely an amazing live album. Is it my favorite? No, it's close, but no cigar. Still, my favorite a live album in terms of Iron Maiden live album is still I have it right here. Is still Made in Japan, but this is close. This is very close. I'm gonna give it. What did I give Made in Japan? I think I gave it an 8 out of 10, maybe. I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. I would have given it a little bit higher, but again, the first 6 tracks are pretty hard to listen to. But yeah, it's definitely a 7 out of 10. A really, really good one, and a really important live album. Like, even more important than Live After Death. Yeah, Live After Death was the more famous live album. Definitely had the biggest and most bombastic live show in terms of both the actual show itself and then the set design and stuff. But this show and this album is this live show and this live album is way, way, way more important, considering one, it's the first live album to feature Bruce Dickinson, and the last live album and overall release to feature not Paul Dano, Clive Burr before he left the band. And it's again in support of the Number of the Beast album. And it's actually definitely, up until this point, the most diverse album in terms of track listing. Like, I think we get 10 on here. There's 10 Paul Di'Anno era Iron Maiden songs. Let's see, I think if there's 10. Let's see: Murders in the Rue Morgue, Wrathchild, Another Life, Killers, Transylvania, Phantom of the Opera, Iron Maiden, Sanctuary, Drifter, Running. No, 11 Paul Di'Anno era Iron Maiden songs, and that's the most Paul Di'Anno era Iron Maiden songs there have been on a live album. Like, after this, there would be like maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 if you're lucky. But this is I love how many Paul Di'Anno era songs is on here. And again, I think the only reason why there's so many is because up to this point there was only 3 albums, and only 3 studio albums, and only like 1 with Bruce Dickinson, so they didn't have too much Bruce Dickinson material to go off of. But yeah, just definitely, and then the stuff from The Number of the Beast, what they did pick, um, is the best stuff. Again, what was it? Run to the Hills, The Number of the Beast, 22 Acacia Avenue, Total Eclipse, The Prisoner, Hallowed Be Thy Name, and yeah, I mean, just the best of the best from that album. Also, I want to show you guys the little booklet, because it does have a bunch of pictures in it of the live show. Hold on. Ooh, okay, no, I thought that dented. Never mind. Here, let's put this down for a second. So in here, also in the very front cover, you get the tour listing. Like, for example, you get the tour listing of where they played. You get the UK, and you get the months too of the different areas they toured. Like, they have stuff for they had like stuff for the UK, Europe, US and Canada, Australia and Japan. And then you get all the major cities in all those areas. And then that's really, really cool that they have the tour listing on here. And then here's like, I guess, where is that at? I can't tell where that's at, but there's a lot of people. Look, there's a sea of people too. It's awesome. And then there's a little introduction, a reading introduction. And then you get Steve Harris, and then who's that? You can't tell who that is. Yeah, I can't tell who that person is. At first, I thought it was I don't know, Rod Smallwood. I can't tell. Then that's Steve Harris, but I can't tell who that is. Is that Derek Riggs? I don't know. Somebody. And then I guess Clive Burr and Steve Harris spray painted one of their cars with Eddie on it. That's really cool. And then And then and then each section features a different band member, and not only are there pictures of that each band member, but there's like also information of their instruments, and then a little signature too of their name up there. As you can see, this is all like information about what guitar he's using in the show. Um, like the guitar, the amplifier, all his equipment. There's a listing of his equipment. That's really cool. Then there's like 3 different pictures of Dave Murray. We got Bruce Dickinson with some read up as well. I love that picture. I love that picture. And then you get his signature right there. And then Clive Burr and then just the information about his drum equipment down there. Here's Clive Burr right there. And then in the middle here, you get a whole view of the everyone in the band. And that stage setup is pretty cool too. Yeah, it's not as flamboyant or as busy as the uh, Power Slave tour, but it's very cool, like in its simplicity. Like there's not too much going on, but at the same time, the way everything's set up and the lighting just makes it look really cool. And then you get the giant animatronic Eddie right there too. Or is that a guy on stilts? Oh no, that's not an animatronic Eddie. That's actually a guy in an Eddie costume on stilts. That's really cool. And you can't see it because the guy in the Eddie suit is standing in front of, like, on the wall back there. There's a giant picture of Member of the Beast Eddie. And then Steve Harris, and then just his signature right there, and then the listing of his equipment. And you got the pictures of Steve Harris there. Let's see. Smith. And then just some random pictures of the band. Some more. Oh, that's actually kind of funny. Okay, so then there's some picture to the band members, and then you get a little drawing here, which is just it's called I guess it's titled the Eddie Collection, and basically a bunch of severed heads that he's collected. It's really cool. And then at the back here, there's just the information on the CDs, 2 CDs, and then the track listing of those. And a few pictures, and then that's it. I guess this is probably my favorite, or one of my favorites in terms of booklet for Iron Maiden live album. I've never had another booklet where, like, not only are there pictures of the band members, but information about what equipment they used for those shows as well. And then really cool pictures. Like, yeah, there's pictures on the other one, but those ones look really cool. So overall, get this back in here. Nope, that's stuck. Hold on. Nope. What's the? Hold on. Sorry, this is stuck. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, so overall, an amazing live album. Definitely better than Live After Death, I've got to say. Like, yeah, Live After Death had a pretty good set list. But Bruce's vocals, for the most part, were pretty bad. And yeah, like his vocals here on the first, like, 6 songs was pretty bad, but he just needed to warm up a bit, I guess. He needed to, like, sort of warm up his vocals. But you could tell on Live After Death, his vocals are just completely ruined from how much he toured. But yeah, so that's it for this review. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.